Good morning, Stampers. It's Elizabeth from StampScrapandMore.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator located in Canada, and I am going to share with you a project that I'm making today. I'm actually getting ready for the Stampin' Up! Global Share Fair. It's an event that happens a minimum every other month on a private Facebook group, and it encompasses demonstrators from South Pacific, Europe, and North America. And we do this at least every other month. And so I'm on today at 11:30 Eastern. If you are in Canada and would like to be invited to join the Global Share Fair, send me a message to info@stampscrapandmore.com. And it started last night in the South Pacific, and then it'll go through till I'm in Eastern, so it'll go through to, I think it's noon, or 12:30 today Eastern. So it's lots of demonstrators and lots of creative ideas. So as I was getting ready for that, I am playing today on the Global Share Fair with the Quiet Meadow Bundle, and oh my gosh, the Expressions in Ink. I almost forgot the name of it. Designer Series paper. And I came up with an alternate project as well, but we only do one card on the Global Share Fair. So I'm going to video the second card that I'm making, and I'm going to upload it to YouTube. So let's get started. Okay, so I just got to move a light around. There we go. Okay, so this is the stamp set we're going to play with, Quiet Meadow, and the Meadow dies. And I'm also going to bring in the Tasteful Textile 3D embossing folder. You can really use any embossing folder for this. I just wanted to give the first layer a little bit of texture. I wanted to, I know I don't like to talk too much, but do you ever get into a creative slump? And this is what I'm going to say to the group that I'm going to be talking to today, is we all get into creative slumps and funks, whatever you want to call them. But when I receive a card that I love, I keep it because I love it for a reason, and I love it because I'm inspired by it. So I received this card from a fellow demonstrator, Tamara Bertram, and it's really simple, but it's classic. And I really like this card, and it would be so easy to pull together using, oh, that doesn't belong on there. That's something I'm going to use for my next card. It's easy to pull together, and it's showcasing the beautiful Designer Series paper. So I just, this is not the card I'm making for the Global Share Fair. I'm doing something totally different. But because this showcases the Designer Series paper, I thought, wouldn't it be beautiful to make another card using the Expressions in Ink Designer Series paper. So you can see how I've been inspired by Tamara's card, and I'm just altering it for something and for paper that I want to use. So get your pen and paper handy, and let's get started. So for stamps, we are going to be using this stamp. I love this weathered stamp. And we're going to be using this splatter, Your Two Kind. Those are the stamps we are going to use. For dies, we are going to use this die, and we're going to use the label die. That's it. And we're going to use the Tasteful Textile 3D embossing folder. So I've started off with my card base, which is Evening Evergreen. I didn't write anything down, I'm just winging it. So it's 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4, regular size. We've got 2 pieces of Whisper White that are 4 by 5 1/4. One is for the inside, and one will be for the outside. I have already die cut using the gold foil, that image. I have already die cut the label in Whisper White, and I'm adding a butterfly, again in gold foil. And for the Designer Series paper, you need 3 pieces, and the gold foil, the Expressions in Ink Designer Series paper is perfect for this because it's got that pop of graining and foiling to it. So we need 1 piece that is 4 by 2. We need 1 piece that is 2.5 by 2.5. And we need 1 piece that is 1 by 4. You can play around with the Expressions in Ink Designer Series paper to see what you prefer. I liked that combination, so that is what I'm going with. And then you need evening and evergreen pieces to mat each of them. So we have 4 1/4 by 2 1/4, 2 3/4 by 2 3/4, and 1 1/4 by 4 1/4. And we are going to start, so you can see how easy this is to come together. I'm going to start by matting all of these pieces onto the Evening Evergreen, I think that's the name of it, Evening Evergreen cardstock, and that way I'm just eliminating extra pieces that are sitting on my workstation. And you're just doing it so that there is even space around all 4 sides. Now, when I made, you don't have to do the next step after I mount all these. You don't have to technically do that. Do this, you can just mount the card and create the card and do it as Tamara has done. However, one of the things I like to do, I like to attempt to do anyhow with stamp sets, is I like to make sure that by the time, for the life of the stamp set, that I try to use all images on the stamp set. I actually cut that off a little too high, so I'm just going to freehand this. Should have brought out my paper trimmer, but that's okay, it worked. I like to try and use all of the images in a stamp set. So for instance, I want to use this one and this one in the stamp set, and then the Thinking, no, You're So Kind I used. So what I'm going to do with the Whisper White, I'm going to take the Mint Macaron, and I am going to dirty it up a bit. That's what I call it, dirtying it up a bit. And because we are going to actually emboss this, I'm not stamping off, but I'm just going to randomly ink this up. And I'm just, you can see I'm not, there's no rhyme or reason because it's going to go through the embossing folder and it's just going to add texture to it. But I'm now going to take this one and just add some, and I'm stamping over, it really doesn't matter, but I'm just wanting to use up the stamp and to give texture and detail to this image. You're going to see how quickly this card comes together. Now I have to bring up the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and I'm going to put this in the embossing folder, and I'm going to line it up. As you may know, there is a line here at the bottom. I'm just going to line up that piece of Whisper White to the bottom, dragging up the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And because this is a thick embossing folder, I just have the base plate 1, and I'm going to use plate 4. I'm going to add that in, and I hope I don't shake the camera. I have my laptop on a stand, so the little picture of me in the corner might, and it's bolted to, sort of bolted to the desk. Didn't move too much. Okay. And now you'll see I have this texture on the card front. I love the detail, I love texture, everything. So totally up to you. You can use the Tombow glue, or you can use the Stampin' Seal or Stampin' Seal Plus. But the one thing I am going to mention is make sure you get adhesive on all the edges. So because it's got sort of a texture to it, it may pucker when you adhere it to the card front. And I'm actually going to put some down the middle. And I'm just going to make sure it's even on all 4 sides, and make sure you really burnish it into the card base so that you don't have any puckered edges. Like that. Okay, so that's the card front, and now it's really easy peasy. I'm going to dry fit these pieces on, and I want sort of like that, and then this one will go like that. And I am, in this case, let's keep our fingers crossed that it's not plugged. Oh, it's not. I am going to use some Tombow glue just so that it adheres directly to, again, the embossed image. And it gives me a little bit of wiggle room. I love this designer series paper. I got to tell you, it was really hard chopping it up because it is so beautiful. When I did my catalog walkthrough, one of the things that I thought that would be perfect is to just take a piece of the designer series paper and frame it, and you've got a beautiful piece of art. So that's just me. Okay. And if I want, you can play around with how you want to orientate the pieces, but because this is a white piece down here and this is going to be covering it, I put more of the textured element up there. And now I'm going to, the only thing that's going to get popped up is the sentiment. So now I'm going to adhere this here. And this is going to go on like that. This really showcases the designer series paper beautifully. And you know Stampin' Up! Is all about coordination, right? And then this is going to, I should have done a better job at dry fitting. This is going to go down here. I'm going to cover that white piece. In hindsight, maybe I should have flipped this up the other way. But then the white piece would have been up there. Let's do it like that. And however you do it, you know, there's the rule of threes, right? So I'm just making sure it's even on the left and right. Whoops. That's why I'm using the Tombow glue. It just gives me a little bit of wiggle room. Okay, and now I've die cut this out in the foil, and it's going to get flush. So now if I was doing this over again, let's put it that way, I probably would have used our Stampin' Up! Adhesive sheet, but I got to tell you, I had cut this out already when I went, oh shoot, Elizabeth, why didn't you use the adhesive sheet? It would have been a lot easier. So I'm just using the good old Tombow. And we're going to put it like that. See, I know I pre-cut everything, but it just goes to show you how quickly a card can come together. And now we have the label, and I want to use, what did I use? You're so kind. Thinking of you. You're so kind. And I want Evening Evergreen. I'm going to use the Evening Evergreen. And I'm going to try and get it straight. Let me move this down just a little bit so I can get over it. Trying not to get my head in there. You're too kind. Oh, I'm a little askew, but that's okay. Everybody knows that I'm a little askew. And now I'm going to put dimensionals on there. I'm going to put 3 dimensionals, and I'm going to try not to touch it so that I don't smear it. And I'm going to put one on either end, and I'm going to put one in the middle because you know why. No soggy bottoms, or saggy bottoms, sorry, no saggy bottoms. And now I'm going to put this down here, and I'm putting it down here. I would have liked it up there, but I'm putting it down here to cover this white piece like that. But you can do what works for you, like that. And then the last thing I'm going to do, I thought I had gems on my desk, but who knew I was so organized that I put the gems back. I didn't adhere this down so I can see this one lifting. So just really burnish that adhesive Tombow glue down into the cardstock, especially where it's been embossed. And now I've got the dark Evening Evergreen, and I'm going to color up 3 gems, a big one and 2 little ones. And let's see, oops. I'm going to put the big one here. Whoops, oh, that moved on me. And one here, and then I'm going to put the last one. I should use my take a pick. And I'm going to put the last one like there. So that is the card. Very, very easy. And then on the inside, you're too kind. Oh, this is what I'm going to do with the card this afternoon. Where is my sentiment? So here we've got heartfelt love and caring thoughts are with you. Whoops. But I just want heartfelt love. I do this all the time, folks. So if you followed me before, you know it's not new. I just want heartfelt love. Oh, and I forgot to put the butterfly on. So I am going to take, this is for the inside. And I'm going to take a Post-it note. Because I just want heartfelt love. And I'm going to put a Post-it note over the "and caring thoughts are with you." And again with my evening evergreen. I'm going to ink that up. Take off the Post-it note and throw it in the garbage so I don't get ink on me. And here we go, trying to get it straight. Heartfelt love. There we go. And you know, if you wanted to, in my quest to use up all of these stamps in the all the stamps in the set, I'm going to take the large flower and in mint macaron. I didn't do this on the other card, so you got to bear with me. The light was shining through the window, so I have a board up on the window, and I think it cut off too much light on the camera because it was lots of shadows were showing up. And then I am just going to do like that in my quest to use up all of the stamps in the set. And I'm going to adhere this on the inside. Whoops, that wasn't very good. There we go. And was there anything else I had to do? Or did I finish it all? Talking to myself now, folks. It's not a good sign. And there we go. So there's the card. So you're too kind. And what started it off, what the inspiration was the card that I received from Tamara. So you can see how take an idea and adapt it with what you have. So if you're not, actually I think Tamara's might be smaller. This square might be smaller. Is it? Now I'm really talking to myself. It'd be nice if I was on inches. No, it was 2.5. It just looks larger. Mine just looks larger for some reason. Yeah, so if you have a card that you're inspired by, hold on to it and recreate it using what you have on hand, and it'll get your juices flowing again. So take care. Thanks for joining me today. And remember, if you are in Canada and you want to be part of the Global Share Fair that happens every other month, send me an email to info@StampScrapandMore.com and just say I want to be added to the Share Fair, and I will add you on. Take care. Have a good one, and we'll talk to you again soon.